Hi, this is James Valvis, and I'm welcoming you back to a new Poepinion. Poepinion, where I give my private thoughts to you straight from my little Poe brain. I want to encourage you to like this video, comment, subscribe if you enjoy this content. And so let's hit it. Let's go after it. What we're talking about today is statues. We're going to talk about not just statues, but all kinds of art, relics, any kind of artifact that links us to the past. And we're going to talk about the people who want to destroy these. They want to disappear the past. They want to disappear us as a people. Okay. So the very thing I want to start with is, why do we erect a statue in the first place? Well, first of all, you erect a statue because you're honoring not just a person, but an idea. Okay, that's important to understand. It's not just Thomas Jefferson that you're erecting a statue to. Thomas Jefferson is a man who embodies certain ideas. George Washington is a man who embodies certain ideas. Abraham Lincoln embodies certain ideas. Frederick Douglass embodies certain ideas. Martin Luther King embodies certain ideas. We're not just worshiping men. That's not the only thing that we're worshiping. Even when we worship Jesus Christ, we're not just worshiping a man. We're worshiping ideas, the ideas of the man, the ideas in that case of a God, of an avatar of God. And so when you tear down a statue, you're not just tearing down a man, because we know a man is flawed. We know a man is a flawed individual who has all kinds of sins in his life, errors in his thought, incidents that are shameful. This is all men. You know, you think of Jesus Christ and the prostitute or the adulteress in the Bible, and they're about to stone her, and he says, "Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone." And they all drop their rocks and go home, because none of them could live up to that standard. The people tearing down the statues cannot live up to the standards that they hold to the people in the statues. Oh, maybe they don't own slaves. Maybe that particular sin is not on their conscience. But how many times did they beat their wives? Or how many times did they smack around their children? Or how many times did they, commit a crime, terrorize someone? How many times did they kill someone? Some of them. How many times have they done something just cruel? How many times have they had thoughts that were evil? How many times have they taken, at 27 years old, a 13-year-old to bed? Some of them. The people dancing around these statues are not without sin. Some of the most judgmental people on the planet are the people who are the most judgmental themselves. Was Thomas Jefferson a flawed man? Of course he was. But do we celebrate Thomas Jefferson just as a man? No. We also celebrate certain things that he stood for. We understood that. We used to understand it anyway. Certainly someone like Martin Luther King understood it. He quoted Jefferson all the time. He said, we need to live up to these principles set down by this great man. Otherwise, nothing would have happened. If not for Jefferson, there is no Martin Luther King. If not for Jefferson, maybe the world still lives in slavery and barbarity. That's how important a man he is. Was he a flawed man? Did he do things that were regrettable? Sure, of course. So have I. So have you. That is the nature of humanity. None of us live up to our highest ideals. None of us, not a single one. And so we erect these statues in order to celebrate not just men, but ideas. The ideas that they are avatars for. The statue of Jefferson isn't just, they were not erected because Jefferson was a slave owner. That's not why they were erected. If you go to the Jefferson Memorial, you don't see him saying, "Yay, slavery." It's not engraved into the walls. What you see is we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. Or, as Joe Biden would say, the thing. Anyway, why do these people want to tear down statues? Well, first of all, I want to deal with a couple of criticisms that they They say they don't want to tear down statues. They just want to put them in museums. Just take them down, put them in museums. That's all. If people really value them, they can go to a museum and see them. Well, first of all, a statue is meant to be outside. It is specifically built for that. If you want to create art that goes inside, you would not build a large statue like that. You would build either a smaller statue, or you would paint a painting, or you would do something that you could hang on a wall, something that would take up less space. These things were built for public squares. They're meant to be outside. What you're trying to do is disappear them through the back door. You're a liar. That's what you are. You're a liar. You have no intention on them going to museums. And if they do go to museums, you know you control the museums. They'll be stuck in a back room or broken down and destroyed. Not going to be on display. Not going to put that not going to put a statue of Washington alongside, Grant Wood's American Gothic. That's not going to happen. The other thing they say, or have said, is that people care more about statues than they do about people. This is garbage. The statues are important not for past people, but for present people. Thomas Jefferson doesn't care if you tear down his statue. Doesn't mean anything to him. He's long gone. George Washington's the same way. These are dead people. Those statues are for us. They were built for us. They were built for us to celebrate certain ideas and certain avatars of those ideas. To celebrate the great American advancement of freedom. It wasn't a perfect world then. It's not a perfect world now. C.S. Lewis has an idea that he calls chronological snobbery. Now, I've talked about this in previous Poepinions, but it's been a while, so let me refresh your memory. Chronological snobbery says that everything in the past, people in the past are stupid. They were stupid people. They didn't understand modern ideas and modern thoughts. It's a very postmodern way of looking at the world. It's not true, by the way. It's foundationally false. In many ways, our ancestors were far more intelligent than we are because they lived closer to the edge. You live closer to the edge, you have to understand life just a little bit better just to survive. You don't get to live in mommy's basement and dress up and LARP as a revolutionary when you have to go out and farm and make your own food. All right, you understand things a little bit better when you're at the subsistence level. It's one of the reasons why academics are so often idiotic. There's no other way to put it. They're idiotic. They simply don't understand things because they've never had to do them or they've never had any association with them. But C.S. Lewis's idea is that we have contempt for our ancestors. We have a contempt for those who came before us. Now, there are a few exceptions to that, but mostly we just don't think highly of them. This is always a young person's affectation too. Young people and stupid people have this affectation because, of course, they don't appreciate the past. They don't know anything about it. They think that their ideas are new somehow, that they've come up with original ideas in the world, and that those ideas are genius. But the truth is, their ideas are old. We've tried many of them. They fail. They fail terribly a lot of times. They fail tragically. They fail to the tune of millions dead. That's how bad their ideas are. But they don't know that. They think their ideas are brilliant because they haven't studied those old dead white guys or old dead Asian guys or old dead black guys or any girls or anyone. They haven't studied crap. They don't know anything. They think they do because they've gone through 4 years of indoctrination at a university. But at some garbage college, they've gotten some degree in gender studies, all slanted thought, all biased reading, and they think they know things, and they'll scream at you, you don't understand. People who are like 3 times their age, people who have 3 times the reading behind them, you don't understand. People who have been in the military and have seen war and have seen, who have raised 4 children, you don't understand. Actually, we do understand. It's you who don't understand. It's you who does not get it. It's you who does not know shit, not anything. And I include a lot of people there who are older, but have lived sheltered, or for lack of a better word, privileged lives. If you've spent your entire life in academia, you don't know much. I'm sorry, that's true. Look, I go to Goodreads all the time and I look at what people are reading. I look at that. I pay attention to that because I'm a writer and I want to know what people are reading. And I'll go see say, let's say a female college instructor, and I'll check out what she's reading. And I'll tell you what she's reading. She's reading a lot of fiction by females, mostly feminists, who are telling her exactly what she wants to hear, surrounded by a love story or surrounded by some kind of problem story. And that's all she's reading. You think she's reading, I don't know, pick somebody, Plato? You think she's struggling through Aquinas? Do you think she's finding some kind of toehold inside the more avant-garde poetry, or the underground poets, or even just a single male author? Do you think she's doing that? She's not doing that. Trust me. Trust me. Here and there, occasionally, there might be a male author, but for the most part, it's not happening. It's all male authors that are pre-approved by all her friends. Do you think she's ever reading something that will challenge her opinions? Do you think that she would ever read, say, a book by Mark Levin, right? Do you think she'd ever read a book by Edmund Spencer? Do you think she would ever read a book by somebody who will challenge the very core of her beliefs? It's not going to happen. It's not happening. I'm telling you right now. So these people, they seem very well read. They've read thousands of books. But when you look at what they've read, it's very shallow. It's very surface, and it doesn't have any breadth of understanding. Doesn't have any width to it. Doesn't have any fullness to it. Maybe they've read On Walden Pond, but they've not read anything else by Thoreau. And they read On Walden Pond 30 years ago. Think they remember that? You think they remember Emerson, or Thackeray, or any? You think they're sitting there with Tolstoy and really going at? They might have to read War and Peace, because that's a notch in your belt. But not sitting there reading the lesser known works of Tolstoy. On a little tangent here, but the bottom line is that this chronological snobbery, it extends across almost all these people who are either the intellectual support, the political support, or the actual foot soldiers, the actual shock troops of this movement to destroy our heritage. They don't know anything. Their knowledge is weak. They don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about philosophy. They don't know anything about theology. They don't know anything about anything. It's just not there. And the younger they are, the stupider they are, but the more passionate they are and more convinced they are that they're right. And C.S. Lewis saw that a long time ago. A lot of people saw it a long time ago. I saw it a long time ago. I saw it a long time before this, that they were going to do that. Donald Trump saw it. Donald Trump's not the most brilliant guy in the world. He's not a reader either. But you know what? He saw it. He said pretty soon they're going to be taking down statues of Jefferson and Washington. And we'll look at, lo and behold, was he wrong? How many times does the guy have to be right to realize that he's not that dumb? He's kind of, he's got his sense about him. Sometimes it's just an instinctual sense, but he's right. I want to go back to what statues mean. What they mean. They mean that these ideas that we hold to be important, and the people who brought them about, perhaps imperfectly at first, perhaps they did not live up to them themselves, but the people who brought these ideas forward, these statues are reminders to us of what greatness can be in one's time. In one's time, we see Jefferson and we say, here's a person who, although he lived in a time of chattel slavery, had the vision to see a future in which all men are created equal. That's an amazing experience. That is so far in advance of his time. It's far more advanced in that time than most of us are. I mean, are we that far seeing into the future? How many people do you know who, despite the fact that they own, say, stock in Amazon, are nevertheless going to put forward bad arguments against Amazon? It doesn't happen. It almost never happens. If you're a college professor and you see problems in your community, you see problems in your college, how many college professors are out there saying, what the hell is going on in our colleges? Why are we pushing out people left and right who don't know anything? Why are we so afraid to speak here on campus? Why are there mobs of students running around demanding that we bow down to their desires when they're just students? They don't know anything. They're certainly not instructors. How many times do you see that? How many times do you see that kind of bravery? Well, that's Jefferson. Jefferson's a slave owner, and yet he sees the problems with this particular institution, and yet is never completely able to be free of it, intellectually, morally. So it's a complex picture, but it's a start. Jefferson is a start. George Washington is a start. That's all these people ever were. That's all any people ever are. You think we're anywhere near perfection today? We're not. In order to form a more perfect union, they knew they weren't perfect. And we're not perfect. We hold people in contempt when we should hold ourselves in contempt for all the ugliness in our lives and our thoughts, all the sins that we do regularly. When I see these statues defaced and brought down, I understand what it means. Look, when the Soviet Union fell, they took down statues of Lenin and Stalin, and that symbolized the end of that particular nation, that particular set of ideas. Communism was dead in the hearts and minds of the Russians. And when they took down the statue of Saddam Hussein and they danced in the street, that meant that that particular regime, that reign was over. And they were no longer going to be Saddam Hussein's, wards anymore. It was that era was over. And so when you take down statues by Washington and Jefferson, what that means, what that always means, is that era is over. It's over for us when it comes to the ideas that Jefferson put forward, and Monroe, and Hamilton. The American Revolution is over. The American experiment is gone. It's done, defeated. That's what they're saying by doing that. They're not saying, oh, we don't like racism. That's not what they're saying. They're saying your time in history is over. The American Constitution, the American laws, the traditions, the things that we valued throughout our history, the things we thought that we're moving toward as a country, these things are no more. And now they're going to be replaced. Replaced by what? They think something better, but I know better. And if you have any understanding of history, you should know better. There has never been and never will be a better place in the world or in history than the United States of America. For all her problems, there's nothing better. There's no place you can go that's better. You think going to France is better? It's not better. You think going to where? You want to go to Sweden? Go ahead, go there. It's not hard to learn a language. Go live there and see if it's better. It's not better. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't good things about those places. There are. But it's not better than here. There's never been any place better than here. And certainly no place better to be here than if you're a black person or otherwise. Let me tell you something. You think the Swiss are not racist toward people who are not Swiss? Let me tell you something. They are. They don't want you there. The French don't want you there. They don't want you there. They want France to stay France. They want Germany to stay Germany. I mean, there is a certain fear that's put into the minds of people there. But listen, there's all these racist little things that pop up at sporting events all the time. Trust me when I tell you that this is the least racist place on the planet. It's the least. You want to destroy it? You think you're going to end up with some place that's like Nirvana? It's not going to be Nirvana. It's going to be the very opposite. The statues are our combined culture and heritage. You know, G.K. Chesterton says, never tear down a wall unless you know why the wall was erected. And we see all kinds of statues torn down, and people just simply don't understand what the statues are. They don't even care. They don't care. It's from a time they don't like. It doesn't matter that Frederick Douglass was a black man. It doesn't matter that Greenleaf was anti-slave. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. They are from a time when that was bad. There's the bad time, and then there's the good time. And we're in the good time, and they were in the bad time. We're the decent people, and they were the horrible people. They were all horrible. We're all good. Or at least those who on the woke left think that they're all good. But the truth is they're not good. They're not. We've been fighting you people forever. We've been fighting you forever. You're racist. You're horrible people. If you're tearing down a statue, you're a barbarian. You suck. There's nothing good about you. If you support that, you're not a hero. You're not supporting a new way of looking at the world. You're supporting an old way of looking at the world. A way that says people are defined entirely by their worst traits. Isn't that what the Nazis thought of the Jews? No, maybe there was some semblance of truth that the Jews had had a disproportionate amount of the money, or that they did this or they did that. Now, who knows? Maybe some of the complaints were accurate. But is that all they were? Is that all they were? Is that an accurate position on Jews of that time? Of course not. But once you have that understanding of people, this simple-minded, almost irrational view of other people, then yeah, why not? Why not kill them? Why not put them in concentration camps? Why not try to erase everything about them? Such people, you know, they call themselves, they've gotten very good at branding themselves certain things like, you know, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they're anti-fascists. But the truth is that these people are not anti-fascists, they are fascists. They're worse than fascists, absolutely worse than fascists. A fascist government can work, but what these people do, it can't even work for 10 minutes. It couldn't work for 2 months in Seattle, in a 6-block radius, at the highest murder rate in the world, inside 6 weeks. Are you kidding me? You're going to run a country? You can't even run yourselves. You don't know anything. You never have known anything. You're not even attempting to know anything. You just live in a perpetual state of, I'm great, and everything else sucks. Everything that came before me was a bad thing, and everything that comes now and comes after will be better because of me. Oh, fuck you. You're not better than anybody. You're garbage. There isn't a single thought in your head that is justified in any sense. You can't defend your ideas. You can't explain why you think certain ways. And you don't have any cause to tear apart the greatest country in the world because you've convinced enough fools to be a mob. Statues and all art, because statues are art. All art. As an artist, I love all art. I even love art that doesn't say things that I want it to say. I appreciate it even still. You look at Nazi propaganda art, okay. I'll look at it. I'll study it. I want to know it. I don't want it destroyed. Why would I want that? I can learn something from that. I don't want it hidden. Ultimately, the people who cry loudest for censorship are the ones who live in fear because they know their ideas are bad. They know they can't defend them. They know there's nothing there intellectually. Every time they get in a discussion with someone like me, they get their asses kicked. And so they think the best way to deal with that is to shut me up and to tear down the statue. That's the way they deal with problems. That's the way they deal with the fact that they don't know anything. Because if you can just remove all the counter arguments then your argument can reign supreme. But you know what? Your argument is bad. It's going to be bad anyway. It's going to fail anyway. Because, as Jesus said, by their fruits you shall know them. And we know what your fruits are like. We've seen them in history. We know exactly what happens when people like you get in charge. Nothing good. Nothing good ever happens. Nothing but death and despair and economic devastation. And so I would hope that you just start to read something that doesn't fit your normal reading pattern. As you start to, in some way, begin to understand your own mind and the flaws in your thinking, and to at least have some doubt about your own rightness and virtue. Because that, in the end, is the start of all wisdom, right? It goes back to Socrates. The only thing I knew is that I knew nothing. He understood that humility was at the center of intelligence and wisdom. Humility. As I get older, I become more and more and more humble about everything. About literally everything in life, I become more humble. I've been humbled so many times in life that I just understand that wisdom is about humility. And the less humble you are, the more trouble you have. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't fight for values that you have. You should. But you should also have a line. And that line should be a respect for those who disagree with you, but also those who came before you. To understand that most of the gifts that you have, most of the privileges that you have, are because you stand on the shoulders of giants. You cannot be you without Thomas Jefferson. This is one of the great understandings of life. There is no Martin Luther King without Frederick Douglass. There is no Frederick Douglass without Thomas Jefferson. And there is no you without any of them. All your understanding of justice in the world is framed by these flawed individuals who nevertheless were able to make the world a better place, sometimes just a slightly better place. And you should respect them for that, as you will hope that your children respect you when you make their lives just a little bit better for, after working 40 years. Imagine if you have a little picture of yourself and in your daughter's house, and your grandchild comes, takes a baseball bat and smashes that picture because you said something once that they didn't like. That's basically how I see people who are tearing down statues. You just erased not just that person's history, but all of our history, all the people, because it's not just Jefferson that's in that statue. It's all the founding fathers and all the founding mothers and all the people throughout history who led to that. Those who wrote the Magna Carta, those who came up with the ideas, going back to the ancient Greeks. Every bit and advance of humanity, you're smashing in that statue because you don't know anything and therefore don't appreciate it. And you think that what follows that is nirvana, but what follows it really is nothing. In some ways, it's like smashing all the wheels because of traffic accidents. Now, nobody can go anywhere because the wheel has been uninvented. There's so much to say on this topic. There's so much I haven't said, and so much I really should say. But, as we get further along here in the time thing, I think I'll just leave it there. I'll be honest with you, I'm depressed about it. I've been depressed for about a month now. I love this country unreservedly. I'm a success story of this country. I've lived the American dream. I've gone from being a homeless person. I've gone from being an abused child who was regularly beaten as a kid to a homeless person who was homeless 4 times. I've gone from that to being just about one of the happiest people you can imagine. Who is, who's, if everything pans out in life, and that doesn't always happen, but if everything pans out in life, his daughter may well be a millionaire when all her inheritances come due, and from our own work and from our work. Think about that. That's in one generation. Gone from literally having nothing, sleeping in the woods, sleeping in his car that doesn't even run. From that to his daughter in one generation could be a millionaire. Maybe a multi-millionaire. That's how great this country is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that can happen. That doesn't happen very often anywhere else. This country creates millionaires all over the place. And that's not all it creates. It just creates people being able to live their dreams. I do that as well. I've been a poet my whole life. It doesn't even make money. But I've lived out my dream. I've done what I wanted to do, and I've not starved doing it. Isn't that incredible? Spend your whole life doing what you want to do. I'm telling you, the people who are tearing down these statues are miserable people. They're miserable. They are deeply unhappy people. And they think if they simply get rid of the things that they blame their misery on, that they're going to be happy people. They'll be happy when? They'll be happy when these statues come down. They'll be happy when they tear down the patriarchy. They'll be happy when they end systemic racism. No, you won't. No, you will not. You will never be happy. You will always be stinking miserable because you're a miserable person. I was a happy person when I was homeless. I was a happy person when I had almost nothing. I was sleeping on an air mattress with my first wife. I was a very happy person. That doesn't mean I didn't have unhappy moments. Everybody does. But I didn't need all this to be happy. I just am happy with it. Just grateful for it. Grateful for my life. And if you're not grateful for your life, then you seek revenge upon the world. You seek revenge upon a country that's never been anything but decent to you. You seek revenge upon your parents. You seek revenge upon historical figures. You seek revenge upon white people. You seek revenge upon men. You seek revenge upon Christians. Whoever you imagine is your persecutor, you seek revenge upon them because you're miserable. But the truth of the matter is you'll never find happy that way. There really, in the end, are only two options for anybody in life. And that is, well, really there's multiple directions these go. Well, one is forward, one is back. But another one is revenge or forgiveness. And if you live in a mindset of revenge, you will never be happy. Never. I don't care. You'll never get enough revenge. Because there's no way to get back to the place where you imagine perfection was. But forgiveness, yes, you can find happiness. But what you see with these people is just no forgiveness at all. They see all the bad in Thomas Jefferson, none of the good. They see all the bad of a time, and none of the good. They don't see America as a march toward greatness and better equality and happiness for all people. The pursuit of happiness, anyway. They don't see that. What they see is misery. Endless years of misery. And all the women were always miserable. And in fact, nobody was really happy at all until the 1960s, apparently. And so they dismiss even the lives of people, black people, and other people, minorities. I don't like the term people of color. I hate that thing. It just sounds like colored people to me. And so they dismiss women who before they were just drones. They were just wards of their husbands. It's just a terrible way of looking at life. And so I'll leave you with this. Listen, we have to defend our history. We have to defend our ideas. If we don't do that, they'll be lost, and we'll go down a direction that will benefit no one. Not even the people who are so happy to and are swearing, "Yay! We're ending your great patriarchy. We're ending your white supremacy." Nope, that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is ending the greatest and most decent society that ever was and ever will be. And so one of my favorite movies, a movie called Falling Down. He goes around and he does all this bad stuff, but it seems justified at the time, at least to him, And at the end, he looks at the guy who's talking to him and he says, "Am I the bad guy?" And he comes to the understanding that, yeah, you know what? I'm the bad guy. Well, that's them. They're the bad guys. They don't know it. But if they keep on, they will. Trust me. They're going to know it. And their children are going to know it. And their grandchildren are going to know it. And let me tell you something. When they get done with those statues, your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren, when they get done with your statues, there's not going to be one stone connected to the next. Anyway, thank you for listening to this Poepinion. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff, and God bless.